Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of which, we found out about there was the dude from Politico, right? It was Jake Sherman. He had a Twitter feed the other day, I believe, where he was speculating, or he had like a leak. Basically, he was claiming he had a source that was basically low key confirming a lot of Biden cabinet members. And are you totally shocked you didn't see Elizabeth Warren name mentioned one time?
Not only not Elizabeth Warren, but basically no one that could be considered even remotely on the left.
I think Karen Bass is the most left name on that list. And
what would she be? Yeah, and that would be House and Human Services. Is that what HHS is?
Yes, I believe Health and Human Services.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I mean, that would be cool if Karen Bass. I like Karen Bass. She's nothing like amazing, but she's better than your average Democrat.
I mean, she's way better than I would say, not way. I mean, she's, I guess marginally better than your average Democrat. Is about as good as you can say.
One thing we have to look forward to is John Kerry and a special advisory.
Again, John Kerry again.
Yep.
Ambassador Susan Wright, potentially for Secretary of State.
There we go. Some more continued.
Chris Coons.
Chris Coons. Who just won re-election in Delaware, so yay. He's got to leave that position, and the people of Delaware will, have to vote all over again, I guess. It's funny that Doug Jones is being considered for attorney general, despite the fact that it
would get demolished in his race.
Yeah, he's about to lose his race in Alabama, most likely. So that's kind of funny that Joe Biden's like, offering him.
I don't think he has any chance in hell in keeping his seat. I don't know.
No, which is why it's funny that Biden is kind of offering him this career lifeline in Washington. He's like, it's all right, buddy. You can stay here, even though the only reason you're here in the first place is because your opponent was a literal fucking child molester. So that's fun. I also heard floated that Andrew Cuomo was being considered.
Yeah, AG consideration.
Yeah, and Andrew Cuomo has just made his disdain for the leftist movement so obvious in recent months.
I think that's half the reason why Bill de Blasio endorsed Bernie Sanders. I think it was just to piss off Andrew Cuomo and just be like, fuck you.
That's a good point, because Andrew Cuomo, because the Working Families Party, they endorsed Cynthia Nixon when she ran against Cuomo and for the governor last time.
That's a counterfactual that would be fun to think about. How many people would be alive? How many less people would have died in New York if Cynthia Nixon had won that election?
That's a great question to ponder, and probably a lot more. But yeah, Cuomo.
I would say a lot less people would die, but.
No, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. A lot more people would have been safe. I guess I meant. But ever since that endorsement, Cuomo has basically just declared war on the Working Families Party and kind of destroyed them from having ballot access in a lot of the down ballot races. So he's a monster, and obviously that's not even the worst of it when it comes to his handling of Corona, forcing the elderly back into nursing homes, infected.
Not only that, but he refused to let Bill de Blasio, already too late, close down New York City.
Yeah,
and it was so fucking crazy. It's like, and it kind of just shows how the American people do just dwarf toward, they have a magnetic pull towards like a leader figure in a time of crisis, and this is exactly why Trump can't win, because he just has no way. I mean, Biden is a poor, pitiful excuse for a leader at this time, but the American people are so desperate to have somebody who can. Maintain composure and give a fucking speech that they'll cling to anybody. And that's why everybody was lusting after Andrew Cuomo, who is really just a kind of horseshit politician. He inherited all of his, basically everything he's ever had. His father ran New York before him. He gets all kind of mushy press coverage, free press coverage from CNN because of his brother. And
now he's arguably the front runner to be the Democratic nominee in 2024, which is hilarious.
Him and Kamala essentially.
Yeah. It'll be really a drama to salivate over if it turns into like an inter-party fight over Cuomo versus Kamala. You know what I'm saying? The neoliberal drama. I can't wait for that. Yeah,
which I think also just reinforces the fact that the Democratic Party is so morally bankrupt that the left has to go for a third party this time around. I don't think it's worth the energy. Like, we've spent 2 times trying with a Bernie Sanders type. It's time to move on. Reform of the Democratic Party is a pipe dream. I think it's definitely possible to do it on a lower level, down ballots, but at the office of presidency, it's not going to work. So, I think it needs to.
This here is the Democratic Party. This list of corporate shills that have probably worked for Wall Street or their entire lives. This is basically the Democratic Party. And yeah, like you said, I think the big takeaway from this is Elizabeth Warren nowhere on the list.
Yeah, because she sold her soul to Joe Biden, and of course it wasn't going to happen. Like even a faux, pop progressive, whatever you want to call Elizabeth Warren, obviously she's not the worst politician, but she, kind of waffled on a lot of things. So we both have a little bit of a bone to pick with her.
She's a snake. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a snake.
And it just kind of shows back that all of her decision making was about political calculus. And when it goes back to when she was first sparring with Biden over the economic response over a decade ago, that was her political posturing, and then when she thought that Biden could help her career, she completely pacified herself, and only went after Mike Bloomberg, who was a safe target on the stage, had an excellent performance against him, showed that she does have chops as a politician. She just was essentially pacifying herself in the hopes that it would lead her to a cabinet position, which obviously she was never going to get.
Right. And it's also hilarious because if she had just exerted that Mike Bloomberg takedown energy on Biden from the beginning.
Oh, dude, it would have been over.
Instead of acting like he was just this doddering old fool that everyone took for granted, including Bernie, he wouldn't be the nominee right now. He was so easy to take down, and everyone just, acted like he was this doddering old fool, senile old man that was eventually going to lose his footing in the poll, which he eventually did, only to regain it a couple weeks later. So, I mean, it's just so funny that the likes of Elizabeth Warren, they wasted that energy on Mike Bloomberg, who was, seemed to be a threat for a brief moment, but then in reality was always Biden. So it's crazy. And it's hilarious that also that she doesn't, if she thinks Bloomberg is unacceptable, but then immediately was down to cozy up to Biden, and of course didn't endorse Barry.
Well, yeah, and in that same takedown of Bloomberg, she stipulated she would vote for him if he got the nomination, right? So it's just like whatever.
Another thing that I thought was funny, I saw on Twitter some Yang Gang people circulating a petition to try to pressure Biden to put Yang in the administration. I'm like, you got just stop the pipe dream. You're not going to get any progressive change out of this administration. You're not going to get Andrew Yang or Elizabeth Warren to, somehow come in here and save the Biden administration from being the, cesspool of corporate corruption that it is. There is no silver lining in this. It is exactly what it was going to be from the beginning. And, to anyone that's pretending like this is, salvageable or, good just because it's not the Trump administration is deluding themselves, frankly. And of course, that goes back to the whole conversations we've been having about Chris Hedges and the
hey man, at least Jamie Dimon's not on there, right? Is that what we're supposed to say as the left right now? We're supposed to clap our hands and say Jamie Dimon didn't get on the list, so we're happy.
Bloomberg, yeah, I mean Bloomberg too. I remember he was being floated for a cabinet position, so I guess at least Bloomberg's not on it. That's the takeaway for us lefties. That's what we get, and Karen Bass. So